You gotta hit both.
Alright, once again, we're here, we're back. So God has blessed us another 30-some odd days from the last time we were here. It's the Man in the Mirror Show. When we say the, because it's a personal journey first. I gotta take responsibility for the man in the reflection. And we're here today. We got another great show as usual. But as we do, we gotta introduce the panel. So to my left is the very prestigious gentleman, Mr. Rodney Grimes.
Good evening. Welcome to Man in the Mirror. Like, it's always an honor to be here. I love when he say, what's that word? Distinguished?
Yeah, that was,
I can't say it.
I switched it up.
Oh my God.
Oh, the distinguished there.
Distinguished. Yeah, but anyway, I like when he's used that word. But, and to my left, as always, we have the beautiful and talented Miss Amy.
Don't do it.
Okay.
Everywhere. Amy everywhere.
Amy.
That's what they call
The thing
it.
about it is on Facebook, I have like 50 names and Facebook won't let me change it. So it's like Amy, Connie Chung, Wilkins, Allen to the third
Right.
album.
Oh, wow.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
But we
So
just
it
call
be-
it Amy
yeah.
Cake.
We just
Amy
call it
Cakes.
Amy Cakes.
Yes.
But the beautiful Amy Cakes is in the house, and
Thank you. And to my left, I'm gonna bypass you because we're gonna do a formal introduction. Is Big Brother Boo Jones, the coach that's gonna help us navigate through through this episode.
Okay. So look, as you guys know, each month one of the hosts. Oh, let me say this: Nate Jenkins on his way in. So if you see Mr. Grimes get up, he will return with the distinguished also Mr. Nate Jenkins. So we got two distinguished gentlemen.
how about
So,
that?
as usual, one of the hosts the show, and they put the show together itself, and they get the dynamite guests, and man, we just trusting each other, and we get out the way. We just say, what is it we doing this month for whoever that particular host is on the show, and the shows always turn out great because you know who our really director is, not me. So this month is Amy Cakes. Yes, Amy everywhere has done it again. So I'm gonna as usual, let her introduce her guest, her very special guest, and what other guests she's gonna have, and her show period. Miss Amy Cakes, the ball over you.
All right. So today, this episode is called Man in the Mirror podcast. Topic is bullying, mental health, and parenting 101. What isn't taught in a textbook. We all can relate. We've all been there, done that, had been affected in so many different ways. And today, I have a very, very special guest to come in, and we're going to chop it up and try to make some sense out of it so we can process for ourselves and for our youth. So today we have Miss Kay Valentine.
Thank you. I am
You're
very
welcome.
honored to be here amongst, I will say, legend, per se. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So,
Also, you got a guest that's supposed to. We can't count the chicken, but we got a guest that's supposed to call in, right?
yes, Miss Chris Knapp of, what is she?
And she's a social worker at PIW for the kids.
Yes,
So
right.
she has a whole lot of experience in that department area.
Mhm.
And
She's gonna call in around 7:30.
yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna really dig into this and try to get some solutions. So that's what we do here. We look for solutions. The problems are average, and I say average because they're ongoing.
Right.
These ongoing issues. Most issues are not something new.
Right.
It's ongoing, so it's kind of like hereditary. It just keep happening. The same things.
Mhm.
We want to derail the process.
And the thing about this particular episode, I wanted to make sure that there was some type of something gearing towards the answer. I didn't want to just invite you and didn't have someone that had the experience that can actually give you not just medical advice but professional advice on certain situations. Because I've heard so many or I've seen shows where they would talk about it, but they didn't know how to direct the person to the help it. What's the sense of talking about it if you're not going to help with a solution? So initially, Dr. Khan was actually the guest. He had an emergency, so you reached out to Chris Knapp. I don't know her. However, she is a colleague of Dr. Khan's, so I'm very, very happy that she's able to call in and to,
And they actually work hand in hand on a daily basis. So
yeah.
she can really, they work with the kids.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, so I'm very, very happy that she's able to, partake over the phone. So, let's see here.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the infamous, sometimes diabolical,
Hey. Yeah.
like I said, Dapper, Debonair, Part 2, Late Jenkins.
So we can just do this applause for everybody that's in here.
So we're Amy, Nate. I guess you're aware with the show's topic and stuff. So Amy just introduced her guest, and welcome.
Thank you.
Also, me and Nate been working in the field of mental health and substance abuse. Dealing with all kids, but mainly adults, but we done deal with some kids situations. So we got some experience in that area, sitting right here on the panel.
Right. And a lot of times, they don't put this in the manual. There is no parent manual. We learn a lot of this stuff as we go, and some things it's like you have to kind of sponge off of others to get I don't know the words I'm looking for. Like, life is just about experiences and just trying to make the best choice, especially for your child. Bullying, whew, let's start there. So kids can be cruel, very cruel. Some literally trying to prove a point with their friends. They're just trying to, be cute in school and all of that, and then but they don't realize they're taking down someone else's I don't know, like just trying to break them down, or just being nasty. Me, I'm gonna speak about myself. So I never was really bullied, but I remember my first encounter. I was in the 7th grade, and it was a girl. We only had gym together, and one day she wanted to pick on me. Don't really know. We weren't even on the same gym teacher. We was in the same space, but 2 separate gym teachers. But she was a bully, to a lot of people. But today was Bully Amy. So she decides she wants to fight me. I never had an encounter with her, whatever. Her whole thing was, oh, she thinks she's cute. I don't like her. Oh yeah, I'll see you after school. And I'm like, what the fuck did I do? I ain't do nothing. So everybody was like, yeah, she's been saying that for a while. And I was like, y'all ain't telling me y'all got somebody that's trying to fight me. So I was really baffled. I was like, I'm goofy, or whatever. And I'm like a median to a lot of people where I, somebody has problems, whatever. I tend to, help them figure out solutions. And I'm just that type of person. And so when I was approached with that, I was like, okay, she's trying to fight me. She didn't realize that I had a whole family that went to the school with me. So I saw one of my cousins in the hallway and told her what happened. And they know the girl. The girl stayed back like 3 times. They knew the girl. Oh yeah. So they knew her. And we also knew her boyfriend, Chan. So he's deceased now, but that was my buddy. I think part of it was she knew that me and him was cool. Not like that, but she probably was jealous because I knew Chan, and I guess that was the reason. I don't know. So she told him, and 3 o'clock was the time.
Always 3 o'clock.
It's always 3 o'clock.
But what's up with the 3 o'clock?
It's always
That's the end of
3
school.
o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that go with it.
3, man.
Yeah.
You and me after school.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
That's my favorite saying. Right?
Yeah. So
I was a bully. I know.
We got a retired bully. Did you retire?
Nah, man, I'm still a bully.
So
I just bully in a different way.
yeah. So everybody's prepped. We all I gathered everybody, and everybody's like, okay, yeah. When you're ready to leave out, don't leave out until we're all with you. We were like 20 deep. So by the time we left, walked down, she came. Her and like 2 other girls. The other 2 girls were from Suitland. We're in middle school now. We're at Francis Scott Key Middle School when it was.
Oh, one of my favorite places to bully.
Oh my God! Are you serious?
Hey.
Anyway.
Yes, sir.
Traveling bully.
I was. That was my thing.
Jesus. So
That's a whole nother segment.
she done got two older girls from Suitland High School to come over here to try to fight or jump me. So we get to the to like the area where the houses are, and she was like, yeah, I told you I was gonna whoop that, and I was like, but I don't know why you're trying to fight me. I didn't do anything to you. And she said, I just don't like you. You think you
Sounds like a
cute.
good reason.
Yeah, I just don't like
That's
you.
the bully.
But she wasn't telling me her reason. She just wanted to just off me, whatever. So my cousin was letting her talk. Ain't nobody moved. We just sitting there, whatever. And then I know it. My cousin was like, "You touch her and you're done. You can go ahead and touch her if you want to." And mind you, I'm in the 7th. My cousin's in the 8th. So she was like, "You ain't gonna do nothing." And she's like, "Touch her, and I'm going to you up." She didn't even get a chance. As soon as she stepped to my cousin, cold clocked her. She went back, cold clocked her. At this time, Chan and then they was in the car. They was driving down. He jumps out the car and was like, what are you doing, blah, 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 blah. They got to fighting. She got embarrassed. They got to fighting. He was like, go to hell home. And this is da-da-da-da-da. And she just left. Got her ass whooped. And she left.
This bully that you're talking about attended the school. Was she the same age as you?
No, she stayed back like 2 or 3 times.
I mean, I'm saying, but was she older? Oh, she was older.
See, that's-
She was in
Stayed
there.
back
So-
2
so-
or 3
so-
times.
Can I defend the bully real quick?
Definitely older than
Can I
me.
defend the bully?
No, we ain't no
Okay.
bully.
When I say defend
I know hurt
the
people
bully,
hurt
I don't
people.
mean defend. Yeah, I don't mean defend the individual,
I know what you're saying.
their position, right? Because see, I was once bullied, and decided for me to survive and be a winner, I need to bully.
Yeah.
Most bullies have been bullied before, but maybe not directly, sometimes indirectly. But as Amy just stated, hurt people in turn hurt people.
That's a true fact.
And it's not it's a situation where I've been injured. I didn't get any resolve for my injury, So that pain that's inside me is like energy. I've absorbed all this energy. Now it must come out,
Mm-hmm.
and it normally comes out the same way it went in.
Right.
The balance.
Imbalanced. It comes out in a negative direction. Right? You ever heard of, like, if you do IT work, they say process in, process out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like food in, goo
Yeah.
out.
Right.
Right?
Before
So
we get
it's the
deep
same
into
piece
it though,
like that.
Nate, I wanted to hear what Roger put. I know because he was going to a point. I'd like to hear what you was going to say. You was getting ready to talk to the guests.
Right. I was getting ready to bring to the fact that as you have the experience with your child
Mm-hmm.
of dealing with the bullying,
Mm-hmm.
and are they in the same age bracket?
Yes.
Because reason why I was saying that, when you start to think about it, a lot of times the bullies themselves, it really starts even at home
True.
with the sisters and brothers, as
Or
you were saying,
parents.
or the
Or
parents.
parents.
But
Yeah.
with your child,
Pain.
was your child actually the individual that traveled alone? Because a lot of times people target the one that they think that are
Easy marks.
It's easy marks,
Well, she said earlier,
and not troublemakers.
she said
Right.
earlier her child was trying to defend
Right.
another child and then got to smoke.
So what was the situation with your child?
So with my child, her situation, she was in the 9th grade when it started. She's in high school, and 9th grade is where when it started. It was not her that's being bullied, because if you met her, you'll be like, yeah, she is polite, she's very direct, very respectful. She's gonna let you know her point respectfully. And she's one person that says, that's not nice, that's not okay, if she hears something that is not, and she will bring it to the teacher. Miss Smith, did you hear what Mark said? Oh no, I did. Well, let me tell you what he said to Tina. He called her fat and dumb, and I don't think that's okay.
Right.
She bring it out, because at the end of the day, maybe Tina is fat and maybe she's dumb, but that's not your point, and she don't need you to emphasize on her weakness or her that's not where we are at school. So she will make sure that's a point, or she will bring it to the principal or somebody else. That's what's said. Most of the time,
Which
that's
is
where
the
it
proper
started.
way. Which is the
Right.
proper
That's
way
where it
in
started.
school.
That is exactly where it started. And because she's that person, Tina drawn to her, because now she looks as if she's a protector, which she is. Because I'm a protector. So she is a protector. So people are drawn to her like that, because how she is outspoken and how she get things done. So because, again, of her size and of her wittiness, people think because how she looks, they want to pick on her and stuff. She's comfortable in her body, so you can't call her out for being big or being fat or anything, because she's comfortable in her body. So that's one thing you have to come correct when you do. And she's going to report you when you say that, because again, she read that handbook page to page that says we are not tolerating bullying in school.
Right. So she knows the rules and regulations.
Exactly.
So she gonna bring.
Which also makes her a mark for bullying.
Exactly.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that's what you was getting ready to go.
So it's like this. Human nature always says our biggest advantage is the advantages that we create. So when we walk into a space, regardless of what the space is, we do two things. We visualize, then we mentalize.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing we do is we see what's there. Then we see mentally where we fit or don't fit. Then we make an attempt to fit. And if we're in a space where we don't fit, then we want to move something to make it fit us. We have to change the element of that space. And that's what bullies do. So if I met your daughter, just hearing your description of her, sounds like a wonderful young lady. From us adults. But from her peers, she's different.
Yep.
because they live in a cultural society where rules don't matter.
Correct.
We're entitled to what we think we should have, and we're going to move as such,
Correct.
right?
Mhm.
So if there is a kid around that follows the rules,
They label that as the teacher's pet.
not
Correct.
only that, we're not following the rules as an orderly matter, right? First of all, we don't think it's no fun in it, right? We don't think it's no fun in it. And so when we do it like that, we don't bully you because you are lesser than us or afraid of us. We bully you to impose our differences on you,
And will per se.
right? So if I'm different from Terrence, right? He's lighter than me. I'm light, but he's even lighter.
Right.
So if me and Rodney are joking, I'm gonna joke about how more lighter Terrence is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even though I'm lighter than Rodney. But to join in with Rodney, emotionally and mentally, I gotta downplay Terrence,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I hear you have an accent,
Yes.
right? So I would only assume that your daughter may have some of it.
No.
None of it?
None of it.
Okay, but the fact that you have it means that whatever mannerisms you have, and you made a statement that you're this type of person as a protector, and she is also. She's gotten that good heavenly spirit from you.
Correct.
But it's not one that's shared amongst individuals who don't have a parent like you.
Correct.
So from a bullying perspective, right?
So we need a bully on the
Yeah.
show. So we
If
gotta
I was around kids, I'm gonna tell you, if I was around kids that had parents, I won't bully you if you got two parents. Now people would think two parents is a good thing,
Right.
but to a kid who got one,
Right.
that's the worst thing you can represent, because not only do you show me what I don't have, what internally hurts me, you show me how much better you are than me. So that means that now I gotta fight up this ladder of society to get to where you are.
No, I
I'm
used to
not
say
gonna
that.
climb the ladder.
Myra.
It's
You
easy
ain't
to
better
pull
than
you
me.
down. It's easy to pull you down than it is for me to pull myself up. Right?
Right.
So I'm gonna bully you to pull you down.
Okay.
I'm gonna talk about. I ain't gonna talk about the fact that you got a mom and daddy. I'm gonna talk about everything wrong with your daddy, everything wrong with your mama, because I'm gonna make it seem like my one mama is better than your two parents.
And on that note, and then the other kids who join in, They join in
The kids
because
are
they want to
goofy.
be.
Right.
They want to be a part of
They have
what's
to.
popular.
Well, it's not even
And
about
it's
being
popular
goofy. It's
to
what,
be
it's just
tough.
what Terrence is saying.
It's popular
Yeah.
to be tough and popular to be a rebel, and that's just the view of the masses.
It's secure in numbers.
yeah,
Right.
security.
It's security in
And
numbers.
what it does with a lot of people is when you see them trying to fit in. So if you got the one bully who is insecure, who starts it, and now they start to get into the other kid's ear to make them feel like, okay, we a team, you know, because she's different or he's different. So they start to plant these seeds. And you know what's so bad about this? That adults do it.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
That's
But all I gotta do is
Absolutely.
entertain one person.
Yeah.
If I entertain Amy and you're the target of the entertainment, then it's more easier for them to be pulled into the negativity
Yeah.
Right.
and start
To that
laughing
gravity.
and then saying, Nate, you wrong, don't do that.
Right.
Because
It's
that ain't
power in
popular.
numbers.
That ain't popular.
It ain't
Right.
popular.
So
No.
you know, and we know that from experience. Nobody on here is 18.
Right.
So from experience, when you're in those environments where you have a bully, right?
Right.
That's more inviting. You know, that's you know, you throw something and one person laugh, and they say, "Oh, everybody can throw something at her." So now you're the butt of all the jokes.
But have you ever heard this? A bully don't like to be bullied.
No,
No, they
Oh,
do
they
not.
don't.
Not
Okay,
at
but
all.
understand this. A bully don't like to be challenged.
That's
Yeah.
right.
They don't mind meeting. If I bully you physically and you try to bully me back physically, I'm okay with that. We just gonna meet and work it out
Mm-hmm.
physically. But if you challenge me, challenge the reason why I bully,
yeah,
then I don't bully anymore. So
You-
if
you
you find
expose
out
them.
why I'm bullying, like for
you
me,
talking about exposure. You talking about the
if
light
you
of exposure.
expose me, like, say for instance, Terrence was a bully, and I knew about Terrence's upbringing or his household, And instead of me going right at him and go, oh, you, da, back and forth, I said, man, leave him alone, man. You know, his house they ain't ate this morning, man. Leave him alone. And walk off. He gonna sit with that feeling. He is not gonna come back to me and try to fight me and all of that. He gonna be mad. I just took the bullet out
It
of his mouth.
depends, though, no, Nate. It depends on.
It's how you deliver it.
Because that pain, right, can motivate that anger.
Yeah, it does.
So he may come back and want to fight you.
Well,
Right, but it won't be the bullying that he was doing to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah,
But
nah,
one
that
of
don't need to hurt
the
fight.
one of the
Right.
situations in the whole factor when the bullies, you have bullies come from different levels, and you got different type of bullies.
Mhm.
You got those aggressive bullies, and then you got them
Passive aggressive.
Right.
passive.
Yeah. Them
When I was
worst
coming up,
guys.
even myself, I never was one never to start a fight. I never would, but wasn't nobody gonna take my lunch money. And the bullies that
I'm
came,
glad I ain't go to your school.
but you would have got your head
Fighting
peeled.
every day.
And guess what?
You had to have-
Hey,
I had
let me
to
tell
have
you
his lunch
something.
money. I was
Guess
full.
what? Guess what? Let me tell you what it
Talking
happened.
about.
In my school at GW, I had a few bullies who thought
You didn't
that
give me that lunch money.
And,
we
no,
shared that lunch money.
Bruh.
He got tired of fighting.
he would have gave me. He would have been my friend, just like the one
That's what I
that
said.
Because you know what he would have
shared that
said.
lunch money.
You know what he said? No, you're not getting my lunch money.
We'd have shared it.
No, when I'm trying. I'm the dude right there. I'm trying to tell you, the dude coming up. One, I don't care. All the dudes walking down the street. I am not going. I had a paper route, bro. It was a couple guys trying to take my money. Guess what? All I do is tie my tennis shoes up. See, my mother made it clear. You better come back with the papers and the money and your tennis shoes. And believe that I was going to be that one. But
I've
see,
been your friend though.
well, you can be my friend all you want. What I'm trying to tell you is,
That lunch money.
okay.
Well, you know,
Careful one way or another.
I don't worry about those individuals because what I don't do is this. I go straight down the street, I walk and I be polite
Yeah.
and let them know I am not going on the other side. I live right here, okay? So when I walk down the street, for guys who think they're going to take my money, all I ask you to do is try. Because I'm going to tell you before you do it. I'm not afraid of you. And I keep on moving. I'm not going to stand there and argue with you for you to try to play the mind games on me. And that's what a lot of bullies do. They try to manipulate you to have you to think that they're tougher than you or they're stronger.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Can you imagine, and maybe you probably did go through this, every day getting bullied.
Yeah, I've
That
been through
does something
that. I've been through that.
to your mind and to your heart. Just that whole anxiety build up knowing, oh shit.
But wait a minute.
Tomorrow I gotta go through this again.
What did you say earlier? Who did you say do some of the bullying? The parents.
Yeah.
that's
I had a father that bullied us.
Let's
So
get
Hold on,
outside it
here's
didn't
a
matter.
second guess, y'all. Social worker. You on the man?
Hello, you're a man in the mirror.
Hello, this is Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Yes, thanks for calling in.
Yeah. I was getting ready to text you, Chris, to call in. Because he had called my phone. So I was like, call this number.
Right.
So that tells you she's very educated.
Put us down. Who we got on the
So
line?
we got Chris Knapp. She's a child social worker at PIW. Over 25 years of experience in the field of working with children and social work, and they really do the grunt work because they sit down with the children and work through a whole lot of issues outside of just going to a psychiatrist, seeing them for a few minutes. Chris works directly hands-on. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I'm like a clinical social worker. I've been for several years, but I've been working in the field, like he said, over 25. I've done child welfare. I've done targeted case management. I've done CBI. Done PRP. So I've been in a lot of different areas, but I've always worked with children and families.
Excellent. You're a lady after my heart. I've worked with children for quite a long time as well in the mental health space. So I'm licensed in DC for therapeutic services for children as well. And I worked for a couple of those core agencies around the city dealing with adolescents.
So
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You're doing God's work.
Wonderful thing.
You're doing God's work.
We have right here. We have a young lady here that's dealing with a bully situation right now, Miss Chris, and you and her are the two guests on the show, and maybe she can act. Would you like to ask Miss Chris some questions or something that you know? Her name
It's Kay.
Miss
Kay
Kay.
Valentine.
Okay, you want to give her a brief description, just a recap of what you're going through, and then maybe that help bring out some conversation around some questions.
Yes. So I have a 15-year-old daughter that has been bullied over the year, but the one that takes the cake or break the camel back is the last bully that assaulted my child in school while she was in school. Not only that they assaulted my kid when she was in school in class, she got a concussion, she got a lot of medical issue after that. And when I say medical issue, my child was on the verge of committing suicide about 3 times due to what's going on and how the school takes from that, make it even worse. And what the school did was very deplorable because they took the bully side, suspended my child for defending herself, even though she reported the bully several times, and we have accountability for she approaching and reporting and documentation of what's going on. The school took the side of the bully, which the bully allowed to be in school, and my child got mental tarnish from what happened after. So as a parent, there's 2 things as a parent. One, as a parent, of course for me that is unacceptable. And there's right and there's wrong. I understand that. But the right thing as for me as a parent is to go to school and whoop her ass. Sorry. However, I am a mother first. I am a mother and a parent first. So of course that is not a solution. Or tell my kid, when you go to school, start hitting her right away. That's not a solution anyway. My child is suffering due to a next child, and that is not fair. That is so not fair. I am currently, and still until this day, have to be putting my best foot forward. And when I say that, what I want to say to my child, I cannot say, because my first instinct is to say, if somebody touch you, break both their hands and their legs so they can learn from not touching you again. Once they see that, a bully will never approach you again. Or stop protecting people that's weaker than you and leave them by themselves to drown. That way nobody can touch you. Mind your business and keep it going. That's what I wanted to say. Actually, I did say that. I told her to mind her business and leave people alone. However, she turned to me and said, "Mom, that's wrong and that's not how you raised me." So now I'm kicking myself in the tail because how I raised her backfire on me, because how I raised her brought her to being bullied by somebody that feels like she is weaker, which she's not. It takes strength to stand up for somebody and say no. It takes strength to say that's not funny and you need to stop.
And I just only want to interject because I do a lot of mentoring in the schools. I have a lot of mentoring certificates to back me up. As far as I've mentored in every school in the DMV, pretty much. And one of the things that I found out about the bullies, and I'm thinking about your child, a lot of the bullies in there, when I came in, the teachers and them were surprised how I was able to pick up on who the bullies were. Well, most of them can't read. Most of them don't have skills. Most of them are when I go into a room and the young lady that's on the I guess on the phone,
Chris.
Miss Chris will probably be able to relate to this understanding that when I go in, because I used to be able to go in and I could pick out who the bullies were right away. And what I would first thing I would do is to find out by asking who's the toughest in the classroom. Most of the time, the bully is going to raise their hand, right? And when they do, the first thing I do is grab a book. I say, now open up a page. I say, read that for me. And most of the time, they'll put it down. And that's when I realize where they are mentally.
So you talk, and Miss Chris, how would you view that with Mr. First of all, let me tell you my panel. Of course, you know me, and my nickname is Boo, so Boo Jones. And the gentleman that spoke, that's Mr. Rodney Grimes, one of the hosts. Mr. Nate Jenkins, the one that answered the phone, and Miss Connie Chong is the other host. So this is 4 hosts, and also you all met the guest that's on stage, Miss K. So how would you, by what you heard, what's your rebuttal to a lot of things you heard, and what with your experience? Just give us something that may be a better solution.
I would definitely go and file a restraining order against the bully. I mean, make a police report. Because even if the school doesn't do nothing, your child still was assaulted. And if the the bully's parents are not taking responsibility, you have to make sure your child has a safe education. But definitely, hopefully she's in therapy. So that way someone can help process her through some of the emotions and the trauma that she experienced. Because it will affect her. It's going to affect her self-esteem, her self-image, and her interpersonal relationships with others. Either she'll become a bully, or she's going to continue to let others kind of think that she's like a meek person and easy to pick on. But definitely, for therapy purposes. But at the same time, I do feel like a person has the right to defend themselves as well. So that way, if someone hits her, I'm one parent myself. I tell my parents, you're not going to start a fight, but you're going to defend yourself. When they hit you, push them away, and then give to an adult. Those are my thoughts in regards to that. And of course, as it definitely affected her mental health. You can go to the school and see if she can get a 504 plan, or maybe a hospital home, or she can go to school at home for a little bit until she can help get the situation settled.
Yeah, it's important that we as parents stay in a parental role.
Let her know, because she's not on Facebook. Let her know who you are. Nate Jenkins.
Yeah, this is Nate Jenkins speaking, and I'm the one who answered the phone. And it's imperative as parents that we stay in a parental role, and our parental role is protect our child, right?
Yep.
And that includes the legal track.
Yep.
A lot of times, it's easy for parents, especially minority parents, to avoid the legal track
Right.
because of our experience with people in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Right? We thinking they're not going to do nothing or whatever. But as Chris said on the phone, we do have a resolve and things that we can do legally that must be done.
Absolutely.
Right? An assault is an assault.
Yep.
Right? It's not going to make your child's situation any worse. Right? It may be a part of the road to recovery. If you're showing your child that, hey, I got your back. We're going to do whatever it takes to make this right for
Absolutely.
you from a protective state, right?
Absolutely.
And the mental health block is definitely a must-have.
Yes.
Because one of the things, like Terrence pointed to me when she said, she could turn into a bully.
Right.
I turned into a bully for years, all right? And I still bully. I bully in my profession more so than I do individuals, right? But what happens is if you don't cure or put a track of curation in place for anything mental, you're really partly responsible for its negative growth,
Right.
right? So if I'm parenting a child and I'm fully loving that child as I should, it's mental, spiritual, and physical that I have to take care of for that
But
child.
one of the reasons I asked Chris to be on the show, me and Amy, we had some discussions about, the experience, and especially like if that's your specialty, dealing with kids on a regular basis. Like, I know for a fact, I'm not on the child unit, Chris is, but that child unit gets a lot of codes, and what we call codes is a lot of response to that unit because of a whole lot of physical and emotional trauma being displayed. So she's up there. And I know you deal with them on a regular basis. What's the common theme up there with the individual children, Miss Chris?
Other than, the boy-girl relationships that they kids develop, a boyfriend-girlfriend quick relationships, it's mostly, another person bullying another kid.
Within the program.
And again,
Yeah.
it's a lot. It also just depends the location of the child's from. We have DC kids and Baltimore kids. We have conflict. We have all upper and lower. There's conflict sometimes. But I do get a lot of kids, boys and girls, come in, and because they got to the point that they were suicidal, and they either tried to take their lives or they were threatening because of the bullying that they were getting in school.
Right.
So she deals with this on a regular basis, and I always respect the specialty. If you specialize in
Because they in
something,
the thick of it.
because you right on, like me and Nate had experience with. He probably had more experience with it than I had, right, with the kids, But man, she's up there, and when I went up there to see her, she's sitting right there at the desk with them.
So something that was said, and we respected the professionals, but something that I just heard the other day, and this is from a life experience. I ran a production company for more than 20 years, and I dealt with youth, and they was committing suicide. I'm talking my daughter and her friends. One of the young boys that took my daughter to the prom killed himself a week afterwards, and several other kids were trying to do these things. They was talking about suicide. A lot of it was coming from the bullying.
Yeah.
And what was happening is that we shut down communication, where our child start to feel like sometimes if they come to us, they can't really tell you the truth.
Right.
Even if they are afraid.
Right.
Sometimes they don't want to go and say, "Mommy or Daddy, I'm afraid of this
Because they know
person."
their mother and their father's
Right.
going to address it, and that's even more embarrassing.
Right. So
Well,
we
sometimes even what you're saying with the parent is it's not so much that I'm afraid. I may, as a child, don't want to disappoint you.
and that too. Right. Yeah. And but that's where I was going with the communication part. So when we talking about, and I'm not taking nothing from her being an expert, I'm talking about life experiences to a point that I just was going through it. I have a granddaughter who's getting ready to turn 14 years old. About 4 or 5 weeks ago, my daughter called me and she said, "Yo, I gotta go up to school. Little boy keeps pulling my granddaughter mask off her face." Well, the first thing I did, I called my granddaughter and I asked her this. I said, "One, are you afraid of him?" She said, "No." I said, "Cool. I need to know." 2, do you like him? She said, "No." Do he like you? I'm asking these questions because I'm trying to figure out
Yep.
where we go. And at this point, the first thing I told my daughter, because I was getting ready to go up there, but I was going to go straight to the principal and request, not ask. I was going to request on the level of saying, "Look, we're going to get this parent in here and deal with it."
Right.
But the main thing that with everything that I was saying, it's all about communication and letting the child know that they have somebody they can come and tell the truth.
Right.
And when we got people who have that experience and know how to address the children, we have a tendency to give them that opportunity to come and not feel like, okay, I'm not letting you down.
Right.
So, you know, the main thing is you got to know what the situation is outside of your child too, what they really are dealing with.
But like I was saying, and Amy said the same thing. She talked about, I don't know if we was on air or not when you said that, but you was talking about there's no textbook for this thing, right?
It's not.
Like,
not.
you know,
No.
my daughter took her life, and I didn't see the signs coming to that.
Right.
I mean, you know, because like the environments, like they said, that we come out of being minority, and that ain't something that we see on a regular basis. Now it's more prevalent.
Yeah.
But man, growing up, man, we had it rough.
Right.
Ain't nobody.
You're right. That's
The last
resort.
thing,
Yeah.
is we never had nobody do it.
But in the culture that we lived in, it was segregated. It wasn't blended, right? So you understand that when you blend cultures, you assimilate with the culture you're blending into,
Yeah.
right? So when coming up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, as a minority, we did what minorities did, right? We came from the lash,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
The slave whip to the lash of Jim Crow to the lash of segregation and all of that. So as a black community, we shunned mental health,
Right.
right?
And we
Yeah.
never
Ain't
just.
nobody doing that mental health thing.
Right.
That's for the white people,
Yeah.
Right.
right? So we push that off on the other society, right? So when we start to mesh, and now we in this social society where everybody is on, you know, all the social media and all that removes and accelerates some of the racism, right? But it makes this cultural blending. Now, as you
basically
stated,
you get some of
you get some of that stuff,
some
just
of the
like
norms.
exactly.
So-
Some of that norms
I mean,
become
just
our
like hip hop
norms.
became like
Exactly.
So there's two
There's
things
a
with that.
crossover there.
Jim Crow era slavery and stuff. It wasn't that we shunned mental health. Mental health was not accessible to black people.
Well, then, but I'm saying
Right.
later on, as a part of our culture,
Right.
even today,
We were study
Yeah.
buddies as part of it
Yeah.
coming up to
Yeah.
see what it looked like.
Mhm.
So they could introduce it to the white people and then name it differently. We were named crazy and they were named mental health. They have a disorder.
Right.
But everything else for black people was crazy. Yes. Even to the 2023 in school are the same.
yeah,
Kids, we don't know what they're going through. COVID put a spin on a lot of things.
Yeah.
well,
And
it exposed quite a bit.
right, and
Yeah.
when that happened, mental health went through the roof.
Yep.
Children were drinking on FaceTime, drinking, smoking, and doing everything else to where they even COVID, you're still coming in school because kids wasn't being protected.
Right.
That's one aspect. The next one is this. What make it okay, which is never okay, for a teacher or whatever it is going on. A teacher's supposed to protect a child. I don't care what's going on. You have an oath when you said you are a teacher or like a doctor or a nurse. You're supposed to protect. If I come to you and said something is happening at home or my kid, you're supposed to call CPS for them to investigate
Not
that.
take
Well,
sides.
they-
And that's part of bullying.
and
Because if a bully is bullying somebody, there's something going on at home. You need to call CPS to figure that
Well,
out.
I'm glad that you said that about teachers taking an oath because they don't.
Well, they
Right.
take one to.
Right.
wha-
So not unlike the Hippocratic oath
Exactly.
that the doctor
Exactly.
takes as a part of
Exactly.
their process to become a doctor.
Right.
Teachers don't have that.
They
it's a
don't-
moral responsibility.
Right.
Now, Miss
Now,
Kate,
let me finish. So when you make a moral responsibility, that means it is a personal choice, right? It is a personal choice. It's not like the Hippocratic oath that is a part of your job. So we as people think that a moral responsibility tags me that I must do. No, it's a moral responsibility. So as an educator, I would love to. Part of my job is to protect those that I'm shepherding, right? But if I have to make a choice, it's my moral choice to make, right? It's not. It doesn't stop me from getting my paycheck. Doesn't stop me from advancing. It doesn't. None of those things exist.
because she can say, "Well, I'm not secure."
I'm
Because
not
that's a-
secure. I'm not gonna let one of them little jokers do to me.
Yeah, me.
What they doing to you?
If that's the case, though, you're talking about.
That's
I
true.
was born in the '60s, and you as well,
Mhm.
right? And you know our teachers back then, they had that moral integrity
But
and
it's a
But the
personal
village-
choice.
no, I understand
Right,
that. I'm
right,
not
right,
saying that
right.
it wasn't. I'm just saying that a
They
lot
had
of
it.
teachers had it. And when they came in there, they understood because it took a village to raise a child.
But
so
here's-
Right.
back
They
then,
said it though.
Yeah.
They said that now we done blended, right?
We done
No, no,
So
no,
a lot
no.
of stuff.
But even
you
then,
remember-
you said the village, right?
Yeah.
So guess what? The children were coming out of a society, which was the village, that had a more structure.
Right.
Okay? So that our teachers we say, man, if I had Mr. So-and-so from back in the day, he'd be busting heads here. No, he
You
wouldn't.
can't do that now.
Not
Whether he
now.
could or
Because
not,
the
whether he
government is
could,
now
no,
telling
no,
us how to
no,
raise
no,
our
no.
kids.
Whether he could or not, the culture is different.
Yeah, the coaches.
Okay,
Check this
so
out.
back then, little Johnny was afraid of authority.
Watch
now
this.
Johnny
Watch
is
this.
the authority.
Right,
Now watch
yeah.
this. Watch this. Miss K. Let's say, just hypothetically, we're gonna do a test. Your daughter called you from school and said the principal spanked her.
The principal did what?
Spanked her.
Spanked her.
Whooped her butt. They got took a paddle, bend her over the
Like how they
desk.
used to do
Corporal
in the
punishment is
60s.
what called.
Yeah. And she said, for what? For horse playing in the classroom. And then the teacher said, yeah. Yeah.
Let me
did that.
intercept real quick. Is she in 2023?
No, we talking about now. I'm just talking
Right now.
And I'm making a point.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, your daughter, the teacher called you and say, I had to discipline her, and here she is. And I tell you what she did, and this and that. And I gave her 5
Slaps on the butt.
on the butt with my handy paddle.
I'm calling the police.
And what you gonna do?
I'm Jamaican, so my thing is okay, and
Okay, but majority. Now I'm gonna say the reason I asked you that because we've been talking about it, right? And we talking about how things have changed, right?
Mhm.
Like most of us that came out of that environment, and maybe even Miss Chris, who is of another race, and I bet she can tell you about when the principals and the neighbors, and that's because that's universal in America.
Right.
Trust me, I done talked to a lot of different people. Back in the days, the parent of the street
Could chastise you.
could,
Oh, yeah.
and call your house
right.
and say, yeah, I'm sending him home. He been up here throwing rocks in people's windows,
Yup,
and I done spanked him on his butt.
absolutely.
But there's been a cultural shift and a legal shift.
Yup.
Driven
that's
by
part of
the
the
culture shift.
Yeah.
It was driven by the culture shift. There's a legal shift. So when you start getting this personalization and you start getting this I live on an island. This is my children. I'll deal with them my way. It ain't your job to don't touch my child. Like they're no longer a part of society. You're loaning them to society for the moment that they're out your house, but they always belong
To me.
to you
See, but
solely.
we
And
didn't
now
see-
they're in
That's a cultural
society
change.
going around breaking into people's cars.
But see,
and
the
all that.
cultural change led to corporal punishment being removed from schools.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just a lot of people think, oh, if they put the paddle back in, if they put God back in, if they put prayer back in, those are just surface panaceas, right? That's surface stuff. It's the innate problems that's underneath that drives society
What
to
are
make those
they?
changes.
What are those?
Those innate changes underneath. One is the changes were blending of the cultures. That's the first thing. And the blending of the cultures was not done out of necessity.
Right.
Right? It was kind of a forced colonization, right? And whenever you force change, it never fits correctly, right? It's like a square peg in a round hole, right? But that's just the evolution of man.
So
Right? It's forced
let me
change.
ask Chris something real quick. Miss Chris, because she's not gonna be able to stay long. Miss Chris,
Chris?
yeah, you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is how we do. We just brainstorm here. We come up with solutions and we come up with our experiences. Before you leave, because you told me you couldn't do too long tonight. What are some last words that you would like to share with the panel, or from your point of view, not we saying, but just from your own point of view on this issue?
I mean, I do agree that with social media has changed a lot of society, how we interact with each other, and how more access people have. I also agree that there's not a lot of shifts going, cultural shifts and stuff. So, but in regards to the cage situation, again, definitely, I would definitely get her to therapy or get her to some group stuff or positive girl, positive image stuff, so that way it can help her work on her self-esteem and her, her, so that way she doesn't become a bully or she doesn't become a punching bag in other relationships.
Very much so.
Right.
So we want to thank you for coming on the show.
Definitely, thank you. A big round of applause for Man in the Mirror.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Chris. And we appreciate everything you guys do in your profession, helping the youth recover from the traumas of life. And hopefully, I know you don't get an applause every day, a pat on the back. I know you get a check when you're supposed to, but that's just because you come to work. But we want to say from Man in the Mirror, we appreciate all that you do to help save society.
We want to
That's
thank
right.
Thank
And
you.
we want to thank you for that. Okay?
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a very good evening, Miss Chris. And thanks for calling Man in the Mirror.
I believe we have a comment.
Sure thing.
All right.
We have a comment.
Yes, Katrina McMurray Brown. She says bullies are crying out for love and help. And then she says, agreed. That is why I think she meant I was bullied. I was crying out for help.
Ms. Brown, thanks for your comment, Ms. Brown. You're right. Bullies are crying out for help. It's just like anything else, they're crying incorrectly, right? If we don't, one of the things in our culture that I've noticed when I'm dealing with adolescents is we are so busy at living day to day
Yes.
that we don't, as a people, put a lot of time and energy into the formative years to teach our children how to handle themselves and their emotions.
Correct.
So they mimic
Mm.
from other places and other people
other kids.
how to do this,
Mhm.
right? So for instance, I have a granddaughter, beautiful person. She's just the nicest and most kindest person in the world. But she has a mom who's an educator and a dad who's like a real hands-on dad. And they have conversations about how you feel and what to do with that feeling,
Mhm.
right?
That's the-
How you react to that feeling.
Yeah.
Now, that's not in every household.
Right.
No.
Right.
But she has the wherewithal to come to her mother and say, I'm mad because my brother did this, that, and the third.
And process.
And
That's
process
what Miss Chris
that
was-
thought.
That's
Yeah.
what Miss Chris was talking about, getting the help to process.
Right.
Right.
But
That's it.
unfortunately, in our culture, we don't get that help until we're beyond a trauma or we're beyond where we've acted out. Now we got to go seek the help. As opposed to, like Rodney said earlier, it starts in the house. When we were raised, our parents, if they had the wherewithal, they gave us what they could. They did the best they could with what they had.
Right.
Culture was at a certain place where we were taught to get out and make a living and so forth and so on.
Right.
But as we blend these cultures, we get more opportunities. When much is given, much is expected.
Let's
Right.
get ready for a new
Yeah.
news.
So one of the things, and I'm saying this from experience, and this is something that I was interviewing a young lady from the UK, and she was talking about her young teenage son. And one of the things that I think, and this is just a suggestion, sometimes, like the parents you just talked to, the parent, whether their father and the mother, they gave them that option to come to them to have that discussion. You really want to find out who your daughter is or what the problem is and why she's dealing with it? Just a suggestion, not professionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Allow her one day to say, today I'm going to allow you to be you totally with me.
Mm.
You can say whatever you want. You can talk about whatever you want. You can tell me. And if you pay attention, you'll start to see the different characteristics that allows her to be manipulated or where she becomes aggressive. One of the things that the lady told me that she found out by her son when she told him, she said that one day she told him, she said, today you can do whatever you want. He said, Mommy, I can do whatever I want, whatever you want. And he turned around and said, I want you to shut up. Told his mother that, right? So now what she started seeing, you know that passive part that he was playing, she didn't see that. She started seeing this a little aggressive part of him. And she was like, where's this coming from? He was a little more aggressive.
So you said he had it buried in.
Yeah.
He
So a
couldn't
lot
wait.
of times
He couldn't
we
wait.
have things in us that you
Interesting.
that you and this is bullies.
Ain't said,
Right.
"Oh, that
So
was-
so what I'm saying is, even with me, they didn't know. I never had the problem with the bully because my father was the bully.
Right.
So when I came to school, if anybody touched me, I knocked their teeth out their mouth.
Right.
And
Now-
you telling my story because at home, you know, with my mom was a disciplinarian, and cause I come from a single family home,
Right.
and she wasn't playing, and my philosophy when I went to school is I'm not gonna let nobody
Come
else.
on.
So I get to fight back.
Yeah.
See, I ain't
So
get to fight back
that
at
was
home.
me.
Right.
I
That
get
was
to fight
me.
back when I get. I
Well,
went-
that's what bullies do. Bullies bully because they've been bullied in
Right.
some shape or form, and it's not always physical.
right.
Some of it could be mental. Some of
Like
it could
like
be
the
lack
joke,
of.
like the cracking jokes on people.
Yeah.
So like that was where
Well,
I think mine came from.
you know, a lot of the guys that I used to notice that did most of the jokes, they had the hole in their tennis shoes, or they had the holes.
Well,
in
they
their
gotta make
socks.
you
So
feel
they
worse
gotta-
than they
right,
feel.
yeah.
Well, I had the Bobo
Yeah.
from
Exactly.
Grand Union.
So there's a few things with what I had to do as a parent and where I had to come from. Growing up, living in Jamaica or growing up being Jamaican, my demographic was different. We don't do bullying in
Right.
Jamaica.
Right.
Never seen it, never. It's you do what you was told and that's it. You don't turn up but nothing.
Right.
Do what you're supposed to and keep it going. Okay. Americans would have said that was bullying because you couldn't talk back or ask questions.
Right.
That was
No,
that
no,
was
that was
stuff.
respect.
But that
It's a
was
different
respect.
culture. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a
Yeah.
different culture.
Exactly.
We got that here too. Though.
And when
It's a different culture.
I was raising my kids, I'm a mom of 6. My oldest is 23. My youngest is 7, and my 15-year-old is the baby before the youngest. All of my kids. I'm a single mom, but at the same time, my kids respect me. If I say no, it's not but no. I say no
I
because
can
I'm
see that.
protecting. That's it.
You bringing that from your upbringing, your culture.
Exactly. My mom is
But
the
the
same
problem
way.
with America is real simple. Ain't nobody from here.
Exactly.
Ain't nobody from here. I mean, let's cut it. Let's cut it right to the
Right.
chase.
They're not.
The American culture is an experiment of a melting pot.
Right.
So this is the place where everybody comes for grandeur. If you go to Africa right now, you got some folks over there, as well as in Asia, Southern Asia, who believe that the streets of America are actually paved with gold.
Right.
Because the statement that they hear is, man, the streets in America is paved with gold.
Right.
But we said,
Land of opportunity.
what we're really saying is the land of opportunity. But what they're thinking is, it's literally
Paving.
gold on the street. Because when
Right.
I was in Africa, I had a guy ask me, how does it feel to walk on the streets of gold? And I was like, dude, we got potholes and
Right.
rats and roaches and shit, you know. But they,
So that's
but,
that's that media
but not,
propaganda.
not
That's
even that. It
programming.
is
The
not even the
programming.
media. It is a different language. It is propaganda. It is a
Programming.
belief syndrome. It's a belief syndrome. So, as you stated about your upbringing, you brought your upbringing with you. It's
Absolutely.
in you, and you gave it to your children.
Exactly.
But they're in a place where
Uh-oh.
you can be on any block in America. I don't even care if you're in the projects and everybody's black. One family from Virginia, one family from North Carolina, one family from New York, this
Everybody
family
got
from
their own
Alexandria.
way they do
Everybody got their own way to do things, but we do have something in common. We're all black. We're all that minority. Now, when we're in our community, you can see the differences clearly. But you take that same group of kids and put them on a playground, they're all black, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get galvanized into one structure,
Right.
but it doesn't break our culture,
Right.
right? So you get this hodgepodge. Now, coming from an island nation, everything was restricted to that island. Your culture, your government, your money, everything.
Right.
But coming from America with such an influx of immigrants, different cultures, different ways of thinking, haves and have-nots, various levels of racism, various levels of status and classism.
Yes.
That's a lot to navigate for anybody,
Yes.
right?
Especially
So what we
teenagers.
do as African Americans, we do the best we can to get by through this whole menage of issues, problems, and differences.
Okay.
Right.
So we have the worst experience of anybody in America.
Okay.
Oh, the world.
Now,
Yeah.
but when it all comes down to it, regardless where we're from,
Yeah.
we all know that the bully mentality is really in everybody. It's just a matter of you being in a situation where it's allowed to come out and it's tolerated.
Right.
So
Go ahead.
what I was saying on that topic is, yes, I was raised different. When I started raising my kids, I realized, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, it's not a bad thing, but I had to put where I had to change my technique as parenting so they can have a dialogue with me, so I can know
Yeah.
what is going on.
Right.
Yes, I'm a nurse. I'm in the medical field, so I see things, I hear things, and I'm like, oh, that takes me back. No, I have to put in, you can tell me and come to me, but at the same time, they're remembering this mom that says, what you just said to me? Did you say yes, ma'am, at the end of the step? I have to cut back that. Okay. What they're not going to do is still disrespect me. They're
Right.
not going to challenge
But
and
you
stuff.
just saying you had to adjust.
But I have to change that to where my 15-year-old can come to me and be like, Mom, I don't like how you said things or what you said. And I have to step back and be like, before I be like, well, deal with it. No, I have to step back as a parent and be like, I apologize.
Because you now adopted to the culture you live in.
Adopted, but not only that, mental wise, I didn't
You
want
understand
to, right, I didn't want to traumatize my kids as be looking into as being a bully. Because you're getting language from other people from school and stuff like
Right.
that. I didn't want that to be like, oh, my mom, you can't da 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 da. No, my kids can come to me and talk to me. I can correct you correctly and still be respectful. At the same time, they have that knowledge. Do not test. I am going to show up because I'm not going to take, even going through what she goes through. Absolutely. I
You
went
still
to
keep
school.
your structure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I did what I'm supposed to do, and absolutely I am going to stand 10 toes deep for mine.
10 toes.
10 toes deep for mine.
Okay.
Because what you're not going to do, I don't
Yes,
know what's going on
we
in your
understand
household.
that in any culture.
But
10
you're not
toes.
taking mine from me until the good Lord called her son. None of my kids. So that's where I took a stand for anybody. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know if the parents knew what's going on. But what I'm not going to do, if the school is not going to do your job, I'm going to do my job as a parent. Because what you're not going to do, their kids here are not built like before. Their mindset is not like before, and everything they're like, oh, I want to kill myself. I don't know if that's true, but I don't want to take that chance
Right,
with mine,
right,
because that's not what you're gonna do.
But I
for
want to
mine.
commend you because parenting is based off of personal dedication.
Absolutely.
So, we've had a show before in that line, but one of the things that I do know is when you look at an individual and how they parent, you can directly see how they were parented.
Yeah.
It shows up.
That's right.
So your dedication, your culture, all that came from how you were raised, as you
Absolutely.
stated. So,
Mama, daddy,
but
grandma,
one of
somebody.
the issues that we have in America is self-centeredness, which erodes dedication. See, I can't be dedicated to something outside of myself if I'm the center of my universe,
Right.
right? But our culture dictates self-centeredness. And this new social media atmosphere dictates that you rate yourself against someone else's self-centeredness. So when you have people who, it used to be, the pancake butt and the skinny little white girl with the high cheekbones was it. Until the masses turned out to say, oh, this hip hop is voluptuous, it's small waist, curvy butt, all of that. So the masses dictated that, and that is what the media fulfills, right? So that body image and all these other things become cultural. But in order to do that and participate in that, you have to put yourself there. And in other walks of life, as a parent, so if we get a child, your culture says you're responsible for that child.
Mm-hmm.
And our culture says that's your child, but the father responsible, the grandmama responsible, you responsible. It take a village, and when we overuse that term by taking the responsibility off ourselves,
So you saying it
Right.
waters it down?
it waters it down.
Okay, so like now, well, like we said before, this is a solution
Right.
environment, right? So we heard some good things. We heard some good things from the host panel. We heard some good things from Miss Chris. So now the processing part come in your situation, right? Because you came here for some other answers. You had your structure, but you said, man, look, I'm seeking. So that's a good thing, and that's what's not being done a lot of times. What you're doing is very rarely done.
Yeah, it's not a norm.
Because we usually like, I know how to raise my child. I know how to do this. I know how to do that.
Self-centeredness.
But that's what I'm going for from that statement.
Right.
But in a solution environment, man, look, like Nate used to say this, and if I'm the smartest man in the room,
I'm in the wrong room.
I'm in the wrong room. Yeah. So I'm always looking for better solutions
Help me.
because I need help, and that's why I commend you. You know.
Yeah.
You know what?
Come on.
Let me intercept real quick. I noticed that you were doing some checks and balances when the professional was on the phone. Remember when she was saying, like she was suggesting things to do? She was like seeking help, you know, mental help, health, doing this and doing that, and you was, I saw you nod and like, yep. So that somewhat confirmed that you were on the right track.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's why I felt like it was important for me to invite you on here to kind of gear you or to show you that you are on the right track. You just gotta, unfortunately, go through what you're going through and deal with it, and well, not deal with it, but just try to keep her positive and focused, and but
So basically, saying the experience helped you grow that you're getting
Yeah.
the information.
But
Agree.
what I want to share with you is this. My oldest child is 43 years old. And
Wow, you old.
go ahead, you right there with me.
Always have 46.
1 year of yours.
and I'm 45, but
But
This
my
your
oldest
papa.
child is 43.
Is that your mother?
So one of the things that I'm telling you from experience, and I'm getting ready to say something publicly. My oldest child had to deal with quite a few things. I'm talking in different areas. I'm not going to go into the real depth, but I'm talking about this really was made him different.
right.
One of the things that I can assure you, and I already know you doing it, and that is letting them know that you are there for them no matter what.
Yeah, she's definitely doing that.
The one thing that you got to understand is they are individuals.
Absolutely.
So when we sit down with them and hear my son, 43, just maybe within the last 4 years, I learned more about my son than I knew in his whole life because of us coming to the point of really me allowing him to see me as an individual who can accept him for who he is under all conditions,
no matter what.
no matter what.
Absolutely.
And so in that presence, my son has had the now been able to tell me about stuff that when he thought about committing suicide when he was 10 and 9 and stuff like that. And I was like, whoa, had me in tears.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to relay, and this is what all of us who are parents, what we have to realize is that they are individuals.
Yes.
And we have the tendency to forget that sometimes. Oh, that's my child.
Right.
And see-
And not only just that, kids have been somewhat conditioned to be seen and not heard. So some
Yeah.
kids
Right.
don't really
So that's what.
speak up.
But I'm glad
Yes.
you said that. That's
But
that's
you know,
exactly.
when you come
that's
with
what
that,
I was saying.
When you come with that
Right.
singing
They should be
and
able to be
that
heard.
Right.
Right.
When you come with that singing and that heard, okay, it's still validation to that, okay,
For the parent.
for the parent,
Okay.
okay, and the situation with a child. But that singing and that heard only works if the child has been instructed properly during their informative years.
Mm-hmm.
Singing and that heard don't mean you can't speak.
Right. You are
That's
to know
not what
when
it's saying. It's
And
saying you
what-
can't
right.
speak. That's not what it's saying.
Right.
It's saying, don't speak to be seen. Speak because you need to speak, not because you're trying to be seen.
Yeah.
So have some value to what you're saying.
Well, I
That's
brought
what that's the real element of that statement.
But what happens is
Every
when
household
people.
is different.
No, but I'm saying that's the element of that statement.
But guess what?
But it's
That's
now
what I
been,
got.
but it's been used improperly. Is what I'm
Yes.
saying.
Right.
But you
Yes,
have some
it's been used
kids that
improperly.
run their mouth and tell their parents business. So it's like, okay, you're
But-
running your mouth. You ought to be.
But see,
seen
that's
and not heard.
something different. So
Right,
right,
if
right.
you got a child that's doing that, that's an encroachment on that's an encroachment on your parenting skills.
But you
Right?
know what you said
You
earlier
understand what I'm saying?
about
Yeah.
I think your cousin or them that do the parenting, mom and dad.
Right.
My daughter and her husband.
Right. Okay. So that's a prime example when you're saying when we talk about speak and understand.
Yeah.
Because when you sit down and have that dialogue from the different perspectives, that they understand what it means. Sometimes we say
Okay.
things and they just
And
don't. They
yeah,
But
just
see, you
that's
just
it.
made a valid point when you
Yeah, you did.
talked about your son and your relationship now with him.
Right.
Right. Not to check you on your parenting, but our culture when he was younger is different than it is today.
Yeah.
And we've seen the
Yeah.
degradation of our persons that now we have to revert back to something we should have been doing earlier.
yes.
Yeah,
Right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I got 15 kids. My eldest is
Damn.
43. My youngest is
He
13.
collects them.
Okay.
Okay.
I know what you mean.
Shake his hand, you might get
So
Shake
they
his hand.
all in different age groups.
Right.
Be
Right.
very careful.
And I'm
Shake
like
your hand,
you,
you
they're
might
very
knock it.
respective of me.
Right.
But some of them have a situation where they can talk to me differently than other sets, right?
Mm.
But they all have that element of respect because I had the fortune of being a single parent of 6 kids, okay? Which left me with no other way of living other than to live with them. And I mean live with them.
Mm.
Be a part of their everyday experience.
Right.
Right? Because I was just as lost as they were.
Right.
Right? So what I got out of that
Let me stop
was
you real quick. What was their age range at that point?
at that
When you had the
point,
Brady
Right.
Bunch.
my sons were 7 and 12.
Mm.
My daughters range from 13 to 17.
So you had preteens.
Teens and
I had preteens and teens.
Yes.
Mm.
I had daughters whom came on their cycle for the first time, had their first boyfriend, first heartbreak, first everything,
So that you had
and
those
I had
experiences.
to
and like,
do this as a man with no experience
Yeah.
in those areas,
Right.
which had me be the luckiest person on earth because the person who needs people is the luckiest person. Alan Johnson.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh,
So let me just
go ahead.
make this point. So what I came to understand through my current walk of life is that people are threefold: spiritual, right, physical, mental.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm your parent, I'm responsible for all three, all the time.
Yep.
Not when I want to, not when I have to, all the time. So the question I have to ask myself in every conversation, in every situation with my child, and this was a learned thing after several failures, am I doing the best I can with them spiritually, mentally, and physically? In that order. In that order. Most of us are surface dwellers. We do physically first. Are you all right? And then if they am good, then we stop. Right? We don't go into that, how do you feel?
Right.
Hey, well, I want to say something on that note, though. What I heard you here, and this only come from experience. What I heard you say earlier, because when Nate was talking, it kind of tied in what you said as your parenting. You allowed your child to express itself. You know, you had to adjust and change. So that means you did some self work on yourself. This is man in the mirror. And that's what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, what I learned in the process of working in the field of recovery, and also on this life journey over the last 21 years, is that, man, I'm constantly taking a look at myself, and I have others who help take a look at me because I can't see me all the time. You know, so I have people in my life that kind of gauge.
Mm-hmm.
And man, for me to accept that, that's where the change comes. So you accepted that I need to adjust.
Yes.
I need to adjust this.
Yes.
And that's where the change comes. And I'm going to tell you, my experience is a lot of people, and when they keep running to the brick wall, they won't ever adjust.
Nope.
They're just like, it's my way
There's
and this is
nothing-
how I am.
exactly.
Or you can show a learned defect in their character, and they'll never get it and be stuck. And we talking about these parents.
But on her bullying issue and on parenting, exactly. Rodney just gave a grand example about his relationship with his son.
Mm-hmm.
Every relationship we have, significant others, children, friends, co-workers, they all have one element that is in every relationship, and it's trust.
Yes.
And
That's
If
very
I
important.
trust you, I'm going to communicate with you
Yes.
at a level of exposure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, how do I get that trust? Where do it start? It's cultivated. You don't get that trust day one. It's time
It's a process
tested.
on it, yeah.
It's based in love. An element of love is in every relationship you have,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
If somebody breaks your heart, piss you off, it's because they encourage something against the love that you exchange for them.
Well, you know, discipline is part of that too.
Right. But
Because
if
if you
you
don't
early,
discipline them, they don't think you love them sometimes.
but early on in a child's life, during the informative years, right, that 1 through 10, if you haven't established a track of trust,
Mm-hmm.
right, and trust is not I trust you to do something or be something. If you haven't had this love connection
Right.
that allows trust to blossom from it, right? Like I was telling you about my daughter and her husband with their kids. It's not because I instructed you that you could come to me. You trust me
Enough.
because while I was informing you, I also showed you the other side. So if it's just like a child when they learn how to walk, they don't learn how to walk because they get balanced. They learn how to walk because they've fallen down. And when a child gets up and the first time they walk, they start doing this thing, that's because they don't want to fall again. And they start trusting themselves when they make that first great step. Now I trust myself to run. It's the same with relationships.
Right.
If I have a child and I nourish that child, right, I'm building a love bond. And out of that love bond comes trust. Now, at some point, society is going to enter into our lives. But it is our job as parents to be bigger than society.
Right.
And that's through love.
Right.
And the more we love them, the more they trust us, and the more they'll bring society to us in a way that they don't have to not speak when you're not spoken to. They'll know when it is time to speak, how to respect you, how to receive respect. They'll know all of that because we've taught that in the way that we raised them in love from the beginning. We have to be as selfless as possible during the ages of 1 through 10.
And I mentioned discipline when you were saying it, but discipline is not physical.
No,
all the time.
Right.
no, it's not.
doesn't.
No.
That's what people think when you hear that word discipline. Oh, you
It's
talking about
boundary.
It's boundaries.
Right.
Yes.
It's
So-
boundaries.
It's expectations.
Right.
Yeah.
So being a parent, when we decide to have kids, whether it's a mom or a dad,
Wait a minute, back up. Say that word again. When we do what?
when we decide,
Stop right there. When say it again. No, I want you to make a point.
When we decide.
So everyone has that decision.
yes,
But a lot of people, when that decision comes, they pass on it. They go, it is what it is. I'm having it.
right,
I'm having it.
When-
I'm not making a decision. So it takes the responsibility off me.
In your relationship with your children, one of the things that my mom used to always say, I have a different relationship with each one of you.
Oh,
yes,
Nate was talking about that. That was
absolutely,
So we have a tendency sometimes that we have to individually remove ourselves from the way we deal with Karen
Yes.
and how we're going to deal with Kim.
yes.
And
I
how
have
we going
6 kids with 6 different
Different
personalities
personalities.
and 6 different.
But you'll get
disciplines.
this argument from the older ones. You won't treat that little one like you treated me.
But
And what's your response to that?
I didn't treat him like that because you're not him or you're not her.
But that's antagonistic
No, I
response.
would tell you what my-
What's your response? Go ahead, make your point.
No, my point is that also what I was trying to say is in the process of understanding where your children, and I'm saying this as a parent because I've had the experience dealing with the bullying and
Right.
the thoughts of suicide and things of that nature. What I'm saying is that get to that point where now remove yourself for the time being of being the parent. It's a very thin line when you become their
friend,
friend.
right?
You don't become their friend. You just become
They're confidant.
it's right someone that they can trust.
Exactly.
What you said that's really important. Once we see a lot of parents.
You don't never want to be a friend until it's time to be the friend.
But
Yeah.
you become their friend after they're paying all the bills and,
Yeah, when
and
they
all the
get
use
past
of money.
30 years
Then,
old.
then you
That's
get
a friend
friends.
then.
But after that, what I was saying is
Still a friend.
just
Yeah,
just
but you're
just
you're friendly parent.
one of the things that you I don't care. This is not just with your children because this is in relationship period.
Absolutely.
When you deal a communication level of being able to come and say, yo, I'm afraid, or I don't know how to do this without looking, because to me, you come off to be a very, very strong black woman. And I can see your daughters, how many you have?
I have 4 girls and 2 boys.
I can see your daughters looking at their mom saying, you know, mama ain't let nobody push her around. But they are not you.
Right.
And sometimes we have to build that trust to get them to the point to know you can't be me.
Right.
And it's okay for you to come and tell me.
Besides for you to be you.
Yeah, from
right.
a trust perspective, I'm gonna ask you this question. It may be a little personal, but I want you to answer it. How comfortable are you with your mistakes with your children?
I own my mistake, and it wasn't like that before. I had to make changes as a parent to start owning my mistake, to let my kids know I'm not perfect. And even though I'm fighting tooth and nail, it's gonna be where I fall. I do fumble and I do fall, but I have to have the courage to get up because I have 6 people that depends on me. It doesn't matter how old my child is.
What about the courage to be wrong with the children?
I am wrong, and I don't own it quickly enough,
Right,
but I do.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why I asked you that question, because the point that I was making to Rodney about having those children at different ages and all
Yes.
that, children will always try to set aside, right, and use their behavior against you according to the younger's behavior.
Mhm.
One way to build love and trust is through your fallacies. If you can believe that I can be wrong and I can repair that wrong, you trust me when you're wrong,
Right.
and you can accept my wrong. So what I do with my children is real simple. I tell them, jokingly or sternly, they say, I couldn't have got away with that when I was young. I said, you right, because I was dumber then.
Right.
I'm smarter now.
Yeah, and Nate,
You know,
on that
I don't
note,
have to spank them for what I spanked you for.
Hey, Nate,
Right.
on that note,
You know?
and to Rodney's point, twofold. My mom told my sister, I'm 8 and 10 years older than my mother's other kids.
Mm-hmm.
And she told them I was practicing.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And she was telling the truth.
She said,
Yeah.
but she said we grew up together.
Yeah.
She said I grew up with him.
But she
Right.
said,
Man, she grown.
She was practicing. She was practicing.
Yeah, you practice
Practicing.
them.
I ain't had no, I didn't
Right.
know nothing.
But how true is that statement, though?
Yeah.
That is a very true
Right.
statement because we learn as we live.
Yeah, now guess what else she told? Because you know my cousin stayed with us, right? During his teenage years. Me and him 1 year apart. You know, Dre.
Yeah.
So she said, Boo and Andre trained me well.
Yeah.
She used to say that all the time.
Yeah.
So
I
when
used to
she,
put her through a lot.
oh, listen. So she was telling my brother and my little cousin, right? She was like, let me give you a story. They gonna bring the girl, two girls in the house while my mother's still there, knowing my mother's going in the old town, but she lived in Centerville. See, when she go to Old Town, she might be gone for the weekend. So they gonna bring the girls there while she there. So she said, okay, I guess I'll get ready to go. And so she leave them in the house and don't have nobody up my stairs and woo. But she leave them up in the house. So soon as she walk out, she go to her friend's house across the Jones. She don't leave.
Yeah, she
She
fixed
wait for
it.
She's
she wait for
out the.
Soon as she left, they ran upstairs with the girls.
Oh, yeah.
She come right in the house, right on time, on cue. And she said, y'all game weak. She said, Boo and Andre would have waited till I left.
At least, right.
They would have never showed their hand.
Yeah, it would have showed their hand.
Yeah.
And but see, that's that generational piece, right? But the consistency of a parent, right? If you really want to know how good you were as a parent, you watch your children parent. Period. You don't watch your child. You watch your child parent.
Right.
Because your child gonna do
Exactly.
the results of what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
But when they turn into a parent, they gotta go back to what they know
Yeah.
as a parent. And that's gonna be what you showed them.
And they're gonna be like, that's what she was trying to tell me
Right.
all this time.
And they're gonna, and here's one we've all said as
ass.
adults. I can't believe I just said the same shit my mother said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or I did the same thing my daddy did
So
to
we
me
pull-
that I didn't like.
They
Because
poured
it
into
clicks.
you.
Yeah, it clicks.
They
Right.
poured into you, and now we pouring. You can't get out of yourself something you don't have in you.
Right.
Right.
But then we tell ourselves that great American lie. You know that great American lie of parenting, right? I'll make sure my child like better than mine.
Nah, that's the Negro slogan.
No, that's everywhere. Everybody in America says that. It's not cultural. It's not limited.
Okay.
Everybody says that, but the biggest lie is what you just said out of your mouth. I'm gonna make my child's life or upbringing better than mine. But when you say upbringing as opposed to their noun existence, you can't make their upbringing better than yours when you've already brought them to this point.
Right.
You
But
can
here's
follow
the-
what I'm saying?
Here's the hit with
So
that.
you're lying.
Nate, here's the hit with that is, and I say this all the time, what was wrong with ours?
What was wrong with that?
Yeah, because most of us, if you over 40, you know, man, ain't turned out too bad. They took some detours, but most of us ain't turned out too bad. The ones who had that the stuff that we talk about now as badges of honor. Well, back then we thought it was bad or get spankings.
Right.
We couldn't stay out when the street
sunlight
light
gone, right.
when the street light
Right.
came on. You had to be in the
But
house.
that's cultural,
Safety.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though, Nate, I done talked to different people, some old my experience, and I'm talking about cultural difference, but some of that stuff was the same.
Right.
Right.
Some of it was the same. Like I know some Caucasian people and some Indian people on my job and stuff, and I can talk to them, and they say, well, I had to get in the house too.
Right.
When it's time to get dark.
Right.
Right.
So some things is just earth
Right.
people stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's really dispositions of time.
Right.
The times,
I
like
think
we can see when the weather changed, but can we see when the times have changed?
And the thing is now that I'm seeing most is most parent want to be their kid's friend. Most parent, you know, there was limitation on how to do certain things and how to do what kind of hairstyle can you get that is kid friendly and what is, you know, adult friendly, or when can you get nails put on and stuff.
All that.
Right.
But that's the times.
Well, it's times, but it is also a result of our culture. So when you think about the statement that you just made, most parents want to be friends with their kids. What happens when you're a friend with a kid? The first thing is you wane away from some of your responsibilities. If I'm your friend, I don't have to be your parent all the time.
Right.
So I'm looking for ways in a self-centered fashion to not be responsible 100% for the things that I made, which is you. So I want to be your friend so I don't have to be as responsible.
Right.
So things can be easier for me. If I'm your friend, it's easier for me to be a parent. Okay? We're trying to duck some work. And every time we take the shortcut, we end up with the short end. Right? So when we talk about that, and the other element to that is parents are younger.
Yes.
Right?
Not really.
No, parents are younger. Hold on, let me go back. Now, when I say young, I'm not talking age, I'm talking about maturation.
Okay, now I know that.
Now, years ago, folks were having, in the 40s, folks were having kids at 12, 14,
Yeah,
16,
they were young.
as a normal.
Right.
But
But they're more
they
mature.
were more mature because of the times
The
relegated
the
them
times.
being an adult earlier.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But as we get technology sound, as our culture evolves, as human beings, we speed up. Now we're in this AI thing. We're in this social media thing. Do you realize that there are some countries, like in Kuwait, some other UAE countries, where you cannot hold a job under the age of 21? Right?
Yeah.
Now, these oil-rich countries, they don't allow their children to do manual labor. If you're in Kuwait, you have to go to college and become
On
management.
education.
If you want your trash picked up, your grass cut, your house painted, they bring in people from China and the Philippines, poorer countries, to come and do that manual labor because we're too good for this. We're entitled, right?
That's the mentality.
That's the mentality. Now, you put that on social media, and you show that to some poor kid in America, and what they gonna say? I'm just as good as they are, right? I ain't doing that. Same what happened with the drug culture. What happened with the drug culture, Terrence? Oh, before crack hit, dope always been on the streets.
Right.
But you saw the dope dealer as kind of he halfway criminal, halfway cool. I don't know if I want to do that. But when crack was so prevalent, it created a whole new culture. You had people saying, man, I ain't going to work. 8 hours I spent at that job at McDonald's for $2.50, $5 an hour. Man, I can stand on that corner and make $1,000 a day. But they don't look at all the ramifications of that.
Right.
The legal,
Killing your
the
culture in
social,
process. All of it.
the law enforcement aspect. We don't look at none of that
Right.
because we're so self-centered. Right?
Right.
So what happened in America is the evolution of the American society as a culture. The haves and have-nots have come up with ways to continue to be haves and have-nots.
Correct.
Okay?
Right.
So unlike in your culture in Jamaica or other people from island nations where you're just like in a state, like if every state in America was not connected, it'd be more like Jamaica.
Right.
Right? Because the influences from the outside world will be seasonal encroachment, things like that. It wouldn't be a culture. In Jamaica, they're doing a big thing now with the Indians in Jamaica. I'm sure you know the Prime Minister and all that now is
Right.
from India,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So you would think, how did that happen? Did the Jamaican people fall asleep? Is there more Indians than Jamaicans? No, what happened was they allowed these immigrants to influx and take over the political structure
Right.
by putting these people to sleep with the rhetoric, right? And when they went to vote, they was like, "Don't vote. This votes don't count. It's fixed. It's illegal." And the people from the island did what? They didn't vote.
Hold on, excuse me.
Right.
I'm coming back.
No. Come on.
So
Go
we
ahead,
got to get this man back on the screen.
So
And you trying to play games.
what you trying to do?
Trying to stay on the show. Yeah, they got comfortable. Get on over here.
So the cultural aspects is prevalent throughout. And bullying is like colonization, right? The only way that someone can colonize someone is to bully them into it. I have to convince you that the way you're living is not the best way to live. And when you resist that, I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to kill you by numbers.
Here's something we didn't
right?
talk about.
And I'm going to colonize you.
Now, here's something we didn't talk about that should be installed in the household, right? And that's a self-confident, right? So
But that's that
it
1
took,
to
it
10
took,
formative
it,
years.
it took for me to go the whole journey of life, the ups, the peaks and valleys, to get to a point where being accepted by the masses don't matter for real. But it took the journey, and it took grace, because I could have went the other way.
You ever heard this? You was raised by the streets.
Well, I don't know. I guess the streets it influenced me to go so.
No. I'm saying your life's journey.
Yeah.
Those lessons you just talked about learning.
Yeah.
You had to go through that street part of your life
had to
to
go
get
through
to
it.
that.
I had to go
So
through
that's
it.
what I mean, raised by the streets.
Yeah, but I had to go
Right.
through it. But some of those things that was installed in the household started to take sprout. You know what I'm saying? Later on, after going through
Right. What
those
you went
other
through.
stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so I just say by the grace. By the grace, it allowed it to grow. Because like I remember my grandmother saying stuff, and me and my cousin would talk about. She lived in a project, but we was down messing with the Wild family down the street, right? She'd go, she's like, "Don't you go back down there." And she said something that it might sound arrogant or whatever. She said, "You ain't like that." And she whispered to us, and it gave us a self of pride, even though she lived in the project too. She said, "You ain't like that."
Right.
Because we hold us up to a high standard, even though we living right here.
Yeah.
We not doing what they doing.
Right.
I wanted to go back and ask the guest something. In the situation with the bullying and everything, how are you really doing through the process of this?
Yeah. How
That
about that?
is a very good question. So, I have my days. I have my ups and I have my downs. I have where, again, how I would like to deal with things versus how I supposed to deal with things.
Okay.
So, I have my days that I cry because it's not fair.
You're on with Man in the Mirror just a moment.
And how it makes my family feel, but most importantly, how it made my child feel. So that's the biggest hurt, because I can bounce back, but how is it, the shape of what it's going to take for her to trust and love and, if she want to help people, should she stop? Should she go? Should she fight or should she flight? These are things that I, as a parent, is battling with,
Right.
because I'm here to raise these young adults to be independent, but at least productive people
Right.
to society.
That's right.
That's what my job is. But at this point, my job is being harder because somebody's selfish,
It's tampering with
ungrateful,
Yep.
miserable child came out of nowhere and put your hands on my child. And if that was reversed, my child would be in cuff, and that child will be crying somewhere of how much she's a victim. But because of color, to be blunt, this child is white and my child is black. So the white kid went back to school and the black kid got suspended, which is my child, because of color. So when you say color and demographic,
That's
yeah,
what I didn't want to mention.
it hit home, because that's what
why I wanted
happened.
y'all to just talk.
If it was black,
That's
if
the
she
norm
was
right
black,
now.
she would have been this.
Check this out. Now, on that note,
Yeah.
before we get to the caller, that's what we was talking about. The culture is different. The norm is
That's-
different. That's the norm. And it's been like that so long that we want to make a change, but it starts with us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
All right, caller, who we got on the line?
Hey, how you doing? My name is Kelly. I was invited by Big Brother Boo. We work together and everything.
dealing in the profession of mental health. So I thought it would be a perfect time for me to come in. Sorry if I'm late in the middle of everything.
Oh, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
Never late on
Thank you
time.
for calling in.
So tell us a little bit about your background, Kelly, and then go ahead and jump into discussion.
Okay, well, a little bit about my background when it pertains to mental health. I was born and raised in D.C. and grew up in the Seaside, Maryland area as well. In the profession of mental health, I've been working in different public charter schools around the D.C. area while we work with the youth with learning and emotional and learning disabilities and challenges and some autism as well. So, and every school you can think about in the city that was rough and stuff, the charter school, I worked there. And elementary school as well. So, I know what our youth is going through. I got 20-some years in the field. And just recently over the last year, started working in the mental health field up the PIW building. So, it affected our community very, very hard. We get to the point where we don't want to recognize it, even in our own family, but mental health in the black community is serious.
Yeah.
Especially when it's pertaining to our youth. And then it goes up to even our elders, man. And we got to do our part. We got to do a little bit more. You know, excuse my French, they always say, you know, stop bitching and start a revolution. And that means stop complaining and do something. We live in a wonderful time. We live in a wonderful city. But our youth is dying. Our elders or people, you know, that's our age and our elders and greats, you know, I find that you trying to raise them and tell them what to do. I'm like, what the heck is going on? These sports and our elders, they listen to these kids. These kids is running the muck out here.
Well, you know, go ahead.
And you're on point, but see, Nate was talking about this, you know, the times. That's what I got out of it. The signs of the times. The times have changed, right? And what happened is a lot of people buying into the way it is and the status quo. But what we want to do, and what you alluding to, man, we ain't got to buy into the status quo. We ain't got to go with the times. We ain't got to go with it, and we can. And the revolution would be that the people who feel the same way start behaving in a way that we ain't gonna just buy into it. Just because they show it on TV or play it on the radio, don't mean I got to dance to it.
Well, you know, it all starts with self-worth.
Yeah.
So, you know, unfortunately, in our culture, self-worth is something that we allow life to teach us as opposed to parenting teaching us that, right? Because we marginalize ourselves out of groups. We point to others as our mark of success, right? I want to dress like him, be like him. I want to be like Mike. I want to be like the singer. I want to be whomever. I want to be everybody but me because I don't have a grasp of who I am.
That's it.
Because I was never told of my self-worth growing
right.
up.
Yeah.
So what happens is I become self-centered because I use so much of myself and my energy, my spiritual, physical, and mental energy on me
Put it on ass.
that you don't have any value to me. So when you think of how can these youngins go around killing people, hurting people without any value of life, you got to understand that that's not how they raised, that's the life they live in. They live in a self-centered environment. The result of being self-centered is selfish. I cannot put value on you when I'm trying to find the value in me as I try to match you. That's why you drive a nice car, I'm gonna carjack you. It ain't, when I carjack you, them youngins is not taking it to a chop shop and getting money for them rims and all of that, the parts. They joyride. They showing off. They going here and they want to be you who was driving that car.
So you tied into what we talking about, Nate.
Yeah.
You talking about the low self-worth to start at home. That's what my grandmother told us.
Exactly.
When my grandmother told us, y'all ain't like them, we didn't think, well, better than everybody around here.
But it gave you some self-worth.
But it gave us some self-worth because she's talking about we didn't raise you to be over there busting people's windows out and everything. You know, back then, I don't know if you had this in your family, but I know Rodney did because we come out the same environment. What you do represent me.
Exactly.
Huh?
But that's where your self-worth come from. You are attached to those who raised you.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah.
But the difference is when culture said a person with low self-esteem raised somebody, I can only raise somebody with even lower
You can't
self-esteem. I can't give them that I ain't got.
Yeah.
So what's the answer? So we end up in these mental health situations where we're looking for a final answer. Mental health, unfortunately, is something that we don't walk into. It's something that we are pushed into.
Right.
Okay? It should be something. See, first of all, the classification of mental health is incorrect. Okay? Mental health, we see it in our society as something other than health. We see it as a resolve to an issue, a mental issue. Mental health is just that. It's the health of the mentality. So when we talk about spiritual, mental, and physical, we're talking about spiritual health, mental health, and physical health.
And that's a balance.
You know what I'm saying? And that's life. That's who you
That's
are.
a real balance.
But guess what we do as people? We barely do physical health. We only go to the doctor when something hurting.
Exactly.
Very seldom do we check up and check up and check up till we get to an age that we've been hurt so much that we say, you know what? I need to start getting checkups regularly. You know what I'm saying?
To a bone that fell out.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to flip that. We have to flip that and say, you know, if you look at people raising a puppy, if you got money to raise a dog, some of them get dog insurance, they running that dog to the vet, they get checkups and all that. Then they look at their kids, and the kids ain't been to the damn dentist all year.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So we have to flip that and become more responsible physically. Then you look at the mental aspect of life, right? Do we really put time into the mental part of mental health? Meaning, I want to make sure that your emotions and your teaching of how to react to those emotions are intact at a young age. So as you grow older and you'll get all these events, that you'll now be able to face them in a more even and balanced way. No, we don't. Spiritually, do we have a spiritual, not religious, but a spiritual content that says that I might not believe in God, but I know I'm not it.
Right.
I know I belong to a community of people, which means that we all have to do for each other in order for us to survive. Now you look at climate change. Now everybody, because the earth is dying, everybody want to buy electric cars, get electric panels on their house. We all are doing things as we're forced to do them, as opposed to doing them as they naturally need to be done.
Proactive.
Very proactive, but we talking about living proactive.
Living for it, yeah.
But now when we raise our children, it's not being proactive. It's just raising the damn child.
as reactive.
But our parents were proactive. Like your grandmother said, you ain't like them. She was saying, I don't want you to turn out like them. She was being proactive. But what happens is when we become parents, we become, because of the culture we're in, so more about ourselves than we are about the kid. We're more impressed about how you making me look bad as opposed to why you being bad.
Check this out. Check this out. Something just hit me when you were saying that. Now, you look at Roots. You remember the movie Roots?
Yeah.
One of the main things, and you hit it on the head, and we want the viewers to really get this. The main things, like right now, some of our historical landmarks have been torn down. We had a black school called Parker Gray in Alexandria. They tore it down. Other historical landmarks, it was ours. They had a lot of pride attached to it, right? They get rid of them, right? Because they understand the importance of roots. They understand the importance of having historical things. Me and my wife went to...
That's tied to your what? Self.
Yeah, self-work. So that's what I'm tying it to. Me and my wife went to the Poconos. We went several times, but one time we was going there, and I seen an old barn. You know, because there's a long road before you get there. And I seen an old barn, though, right? And it's tore down. And I mean, it wasn't worth nothing. It was all the pieces, right? Old. And I said, baby, you know, if that was our barn, it was tore down. I said, you know what, that barn there? So the generations can come and say, your great, 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 great grandmother, see what she carved her name on this barn? Because they understand the importance of it. We don't.
It's not that we don't, but we can't understand something. Like you said, it wasn't poured into us.
Yeah.
It wasn't given
Well,
us.
if-
Because we live in a mixed environment. We're in a culture where we have, specifically for black people, African Americans, we are in a culture that does not have a historical reference beyond 1619.
I'm gonna say we don't even know our.
But and also we got to realize something. With everything that's going on, we dealing with mental health. We talking about the aspect of us just in the environment which we were given, right? We're put in a platform in a situation where they're saying, well, this is all you got to work with. Period. A lot of us don't have the opportunities. So what we have to do is we have to make the best of who we really are. And we got to go back to who we really are, meaning our true inner cultures, things like what you're gonna have to do. You're from Jamaica, right?
Right.
You already said it was a difference there from here. Sometimes you got to bring Jamaica here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to, even us, we have to seek and find. I was thinking of us that they said that the culture was taken away from us. What we have to do, we have to get educated. We have to find out who we are, why we are.
So why you think in Florida they've taken away all the books that reference anything about our past?
Right.
And it is so bad that it's the past since 1619, not prior,
So
but since.
what
So
I
any
had
accomplishments, they don't want
did-
us there.
related to my
Final
kids
words. Final words.
being bullied and stuff, I started creating my own community. I
Okay.
started bringing people in my community. What I mean by that is who my child can reach out to if she need to speak to somebody. That's a mom that will understand and it will be like, hey, we're gonna do this or that. Not that she don't feel comfortable with me, but when you speak with somebody else in
Sometimes,
that community, it feel much more.
Yeah,
What
sometimes
I
it's
be
too
telling
close.
you, no. When it says something else, it's like I've been
Sometimes
telling you
yeah,
that,
it's
right?
better hear
But
better
it's
from
better
us.
hear
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
So I started building a community that
Excellent.
my kids can go to, that I trust, I vetted.
Yeah.
That's somebody that
Good
so
stuff.
I have Amy's part of my community.
Yeah.
I have a couple more girlfriends that's part of my community.
Come on, man.
So that's what I started doing. So my kid, wherever I am, if I'm not here and stuff, they still have that community.
So you built a village.
Hey, look,
Yes,
I got
So it does take a village to raise a kid,
absolutely.
I got to
but the
interject.
right village.
Exactly.
I got to interject. It's been a great show. Thank
Thank
Miss
you.
Thank you,
Miss
Ms. Kay.
Kay for coming out. We thank the Corns for calling in. We thank Miss Chris from NAP from PIW also. We just thank the panel for some very, very informative questions and statements. So it's been a great show as usual.
And
We'll
we
be
got
back.
to thank
Thank
our
Amy
production
for-
over here.
And we
Our
thank
production team.
Jay-Z as Dynamite. And I got to say my wife, because she wrote me up here. I got to get out there. Teresa. And so look, this is it. We're growing as a people. We're growing as a community. So now it's starting to sprout. And Man in the Mirror shows like this, and Rodney's other show, People to People, and Nate's show. And
Politicking our way.
Okay. And Amy does a whole lot of shows, so she's everywhere.
Everywhere, far as well.
And now I'm getting ready to do, I'm going to give y'all a plug, and inside, I'm getting ready to do a documentary. And it's under Go-Go Roundtable with Kevin and Ruffin II, right? And Amy's going to be doing some video photography in it, and Bone Simmons is going to be doing, helping her out when she can't do it. So it's a community. It's going to make it happen, but we're going to be touching a lot of, you guys are going to be interviewed So, because you're part of the journey, and we want the viewers to know, to hear Man in the Mirror. We genuinely love you guys because it's the podcast that what
That matters,
It's
baby.
the one that
It's
matters.
the show that matters.
Right.
it's the show that matters.
Yes, sir.
So, and we want to thank you, man, for calling in. Hit me up on the phone. Hit me up on the phone, man, and thank you for your statement,
Come on, guys. Keep
All
it
right.
going, keep it
Gotta keep it going.
man. And look,
keep it going. That's how you
Ne-
raise the village. When they say raise the village, it ain't about a child's age. It's anybody's age.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? So,
That's right.
And this, we've been avoiding this for a long time. So something like this, we gotta keep it going, and that's how you get our youth back. It ain't lost. We lost. We don't. We smart enough to go get our babies back.
that's right.
You know. So you gotta remember that social media is tough out here.
Hey, but it's a good thing that we can do this on it, though. See,
That's right.
see, so it ain't a bad thing. It's how we use it.
And to close out, when we coming back?
We coming back. We gotta go, champ. And man, we thank you. We coming back next month, the last Thursday of next month at 7 p.m. sharp.
Same bad station,
Same
bad
bad
time.
time. We right back at it, man.
Alright,
And one day we're gonna get you on here then.
no question.
We
My
gonna
man.
thank everybody.
My man. And we'll
Man
thank
in the mirror.
everybody. Man in the mirror.
We out.
Right.
Also, wait a minute. There was a correction. That was Demetria Good that said she was agreeing with Katrina, and she said that's why she was bullied and she was crying out for help.
Well, thank you, Miss Good, for also
and
being
Katrina,
Thank you.
and
giving
you
us a
guys
comment.
keep
We
staying
love you.
plugged in.
Stay
We
with
need
us.
y'all.
We definitely need
This
you.
is not just a podcast. This is a mission.
Spread the word. We here.
Man in the
live,
Mirror.
Man in the Mirror, the last Thursday of
The
every
show
month. The
that
show that matters.
Right.
Peace.